Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Keys of the Castle podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking a bit about our recent trip to Disneyland Paris. This is probably going to be part one of a series. Maybe don't expect it to be more than 2 episodes, but definitely this will more than likely be part one. Just recapping our trip in end of April to Disneyland Paris. Possibly wanted to throw in at the end a bit of theme park news and stuff like that. But we'll see how this goes, and we'll go ahead and jump in. So thanks so much for tuning in. Go ahead and please subscribe and follow and like and all that good stuff here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and wherever you're listening. You can check out my other channels also. I have a vlog channel, which is Cave in Cognition Daily on YouTube. And then also my coffee channel, which has yet to be launched, but Cave in Cognition Coffee on YouTube. And also have a music YouTube channel, which is the Cave in Cognition Music on YouTube. It would be cool to get this podcast on video and have it more as a YouTube video style podcast or channel. But yeah, it's just kind of outside of my reach at the moment in terms of time to edit and stuff like that. I actually have my gluten-free episode for Disneyland California that I'm still editing at the moment. So that's coming out part 2 of our initial episode, which was back in, I think, December. So part 2 of that is still in the works, being edited, and hopefully that'll be out at some point soon, maybe in the next few weeks here. We'll see how it goes. But today, let's go ahead and talk about Disneyland Paris and jump into that. So we were at Disneyland Paris for one day. We had one-day park hopper tickets. We are local to Paris, France, sort of. So we're just an hour and 45 minutes on a plane here in Ireland. So we are living in the EU. So wasn't too bad doing just a one day trip. We figured it would be, less of a big deal. I mean, it would be a big deal to travel from where I'm from in Southern California all the way to Paris, France, just to go to Disneyland for a day. I mean, I would still do it, don't get me wrong, especially with park hopper tickets. But yeah, that's what we did. I'm not sure if I mentioned this on a previous episode, but I think I did. But either way, so I ended up booking everything directly just myself, just because in terms of the time that we had, and because of the time limitation that we had, it just didn't really make sense for us to book like a package through an agency of any sort. It is kind of interesting just the way that they do the package deals for Disneyland Paris through travel agencies. I'll explain that for a bit, and I'll explain why I think the reason is. So I would say I'll go with the reason first and then explain what the package is. So I think the reasoning behind their packages is because it's mostly locals that visit Disneyland Paris. Which, I mean, I don't know, maybe that makes sense with every single park, but this is just my mentality. It's mostly locals that visit Disneyland Paris. So what they do is basically whatever amount of nights that you stay. So let's say, for example, like us, we were staying 2 nights right next to Disneyland. So let's say if you stay for 2 nights, then you are basically kind of required, I guess, to also purchase an additional number of park days. So if you are there for 2 nights, then you have to buy 3 park days. That's the only way that the options work. So if you book just 1 night, you have to book 2 days. So, um, I don't know if that's specifically because it's mostly the, locals in France that do that, so maybe they, you know, make more sense for them to where, you know, they can stay at their house the same day that they go to Disneyland. So they wake up in the morning at their own house, and then they drive to Disneyland, and they're able to get a full day's worth of, Disney or something like that, or maybe majority of the day, and then they can stay there for, let's just say, 2 nights. Obviously have the 1 full park day there, and then they have another full park day or however much they want, and then they can drive home and be back at their own house. Um, Similarly, there's a lot of people that visit, just in the local, like, European area. So I would say that's, similar reasoning as well. Like, I know a lot of people here, personally who, it's just normal to them. So they get on their flight in the morning. It's only an hour flight or 2-hour flight or whatever it is, and they arrive to Paris, and then they spend half the day or whatever in the park, and vice versa. On their last day, they go, spend the morning in the park or something like that, and then head to the airport and, fly back to their home country, whether that's Ireland or, England or wherever. So that's kind of the setup. I did speak with one travel agent that was really helpful, and she had told me that, it's way more expensive to kind of book things a la carte. So if you book, the Disneyland, specifically the Disneyland hotels, a la carte. So let's say you book the hotels and the park tickets separately, and you just wanted to do like us and do like the 1 day in the park and then 2 nights at a Disney hotel, it ends up being like actually even more expensive that way than doing it the other way around, if that makes sense. But either way, that's how it's structured for whatever reason is behind it. I would say that it's more incentive for, it works out better for the company in terms of, people can spend a bit more money on the park days, because they're getting kind of better value, I guess, rather than booking separately. And then potentially it works out better for the visitors and the guests because they get, a bit more extra time in the park. So I am realizing now that probably this whole episode of part 1 will just be specifically talking about the logistics of things. And even then, that might bleed over into the next episode. Hopefully not, but we'll see. But just logistically, what we ended up doing is booking everything a la carte on our own. It just seemed like I did enough research to where it made sense for us. It was also way cheaper because we definitely were not wanting to book an entire package separately from like flights and stuff like that. So I ended up booking at a Disney partner hotel. I think it's called the Adagio series partner hotel, which was really, really cool, really great. I really, really liked it. I would totally stay there again. I mean, my guess is that nothing would beat one of the actual Disney hotels. Potentially, I don't know. I've heard downsides as well of certain hotels, like not having air conditioning and stuff like that. But we ended up staying, I think it's called like it's hard to translate because I don't know what the appropriate translation would be or whatever, but basically when I look at the booking, I think it says something like Apart Hotel Adagio series Val d'Europe. So basically, I think Apart Hotel basically just means like apartment hotel. So that's just like the type of hotel, which turned out to be really, really cool in my opinion, because there was like a dishwasher, a sink, a stove, a microwave. Like it was freaking awesome in terms of the amenities that they popped into that tiny little space. I mean, it wasn't tiny even, to be honest, but I just mean there was a lot for the amount of space, but it was definitely, I think I would say a little bit bigger than a hotel. Didn't quite feel bigger because I think there was like a little dining table in there, but I would say it's like maybe similar to a hotel, but there was kind of two separate rooms. There was like a pull-out bed, and then you can kind of close this sliding door and have like two separate rooms. There was a main bed on the other side. So yeah, really, really cool. But anyway, so apart hotel is kind of just a description of the type of hotel. Adagio, that's the brand of hotel, which I think those are all around Europe. And then Ceres is like that specific hotel, in that specific actual hotel itself. And then Val d'Europe, that's kind of like the town or like the area that the hotel is in. So the Val d'Europe, that's kind of like a nearby little like town village type shopping center plaza, that whole type of thing, that type of area nearby Disneyland Paris. It's kind of hard to describe. Like, I'm used to the way things are set up, having lived in Europe a bit, here in Ireland. So it's basically the next train stop over, which I feel like to an American that sounds like really, really far away, but it's literally like a 15-20 minute walk. So really close by. But either way, it's its own area. So that's where we stayed. We booked separately, like I said. It turned out to be extremely cheap, actually, like really affordable, because it was a non-Disney hotel. I think it is considered like a Disneyland partner hotel. So if you have like the app, like the Disneyland Paris app, I actually noticed that if you have the Disneyland Paris app, you go on the map and you search like hotels, it will actually pop up as a nearby partner hotel. And I think it's the closest one, as far as I know, to Disneyland. And I think even some of the Disneyland hotels are further away. And so that's kind of where we stayed. I know I didn't talk about much on this episode, but I'm just gonna go ahead and pause it here. That's probably like, a pretty intense cliffhanger, but I'll go ahead and leave it there, and I'll pop back up with another episode as soon as possible on just part 2 of our trip. And yeah, you can just count this as a bit of an introduction, and probably on the next one I'll go over a bit of theme park news and rumors and stuff like that. But for now, just want to remind you again to subscribe, follow, like the channel and the episode, all that type of stuff. And as always, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things. All right, guys, thanks so much. Take care.